You guys know I've created a financial algorithm how to think and look at the business so that you make great decisions, and which 3 indicators you need to most pay attention to in order to know that you've got a healthy business and you don't violate those 3 rules. You won't need to raise money. Yeah, so when I started my first company and I was raising capital and I was out acquiring businesses.
How old were you?
I was 26 when I started that business.
26
27
years
maybe.
old. So you knew nothing. You didn't take some fancy finance
Nope, I
course
didn't.
in college.
I hired a chief financial officer, and I assumed they knew their business.
Isn't that interesting? How many of you guys have done that before? Put yes in the chat. You hire somebody and you just assume that they are going to know the financials. You assume that they're going to do all the things that they need to do. Some people are liars on this call. I know you guys are. It's okay. I know some of you guys are lying. I appreciate Fernando being honest.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, I had a receivables issue.
What does that mean for people who don't understand?
Yeah, it means we were billing, and we weren't collecting. So our receivables was going up, and we knew we would collect a certain percentage of those receivables, which created the cash flow to pay the bills each month. And we were running about a 72 or 74% collection against receivables. And I acquired a third-party receivable billing and collection company, and they didn't invoice for 90 days. So my receivables ballooned by, I think at the time we were billing about $3 million a month, and they ballooned to like $9 million over 90 days. And then they weren't collecting any of it. So all of a sudden in 1999, October of 99, I had to do an emergency round of financing in order to make payroll and keep the business going, because I didn't see it coming, and hire the infrastructure to fix it. And that gave up control of my company to my financier.
Like, this is so important. You were just so used to this story, but
Yeah.
I think of myself as somebody who was formally educated. I went through every accounting and finance class in college. I studied economics, and yet I still don't feel like this is really grasped by business owners. There was $9 million in receivables. And sometimes you might think, oh, the money is just going to come in. They owe us, so the money's just going to come in, when in fact, that's rarely the case.
Well, and you think that I've got a team of people that are collecting it, so obviously they're paying attention to it.
Obviously, but have you ever listened to the people who are responsible for collecting your money? Have you ever listened to, if you have an AR team, that's accounts receivable team, or if you just have one person, have you ever listened to those calls? Likely those people, think about that personality type. This is like where the people meet the operations. What is the personality type of somebody who works as somebody who's a
Collecting
accounts
bills,
receivable?
yeah.
They're
Probably
high
high
analyzers, such high analyzers. Is somebody who's a high analyzer going to naturally be a great salesperson on the phone to get the receivables that you are owed? Probably not.
Yeah. In fact, I would tell you that today in that particular situation, I'd rather have a salesperson calling the third-party payers than an accounting person, because
But normally people just post for an accounting person to just handle this part of the business, and yet you really can't. Okay, so you have this business, you own this business, you own the majority of it. Your receivables ballooned to 9 million, and at that point, as a business owner, you had to make
I had to do an
decision?
emergency financing with my largest shareholders.
So what does emergency financing mean?
I had to raise $10 million in order to keep the business going.
Crazy, right? Like, this happens.
And things were just starting to get so good too.
And he's like, oh, I just need the $10 million to cover this balloon payment because it just needs to get fixed. We just need to handle this for right now. You're like, oh, I'm translating.
And I did fix it. I mean, we did, it took 5 months, but we fixed it. But I
Uh-huh.
gave away the short answer is I gave away control of the company. So 2 years later, that shareholder, when they decided to sell the company, had nothing to say about it. So
Say that again so people understand. I don't think
so
people
2 years
understand.
later, when
I
my
really
private
don't.
equity group decided to sell my company, they had control of it, and I could not stop them
The
from
people
doing
that
it.
he had the emergency funding. So at first it's like, here's this money. Oh, we're just helping you out in this pinch.
Well, and we want to make, like, private equity guys aren't in the business to help out. They're in the business to make money.
Of course.
The problem is it just gave them control of the business, so they could choose when to make that money versus me choosing it.
Which is a very sad outcome for you, because what ended up happening?
Well, they sold it, and I had to go start over. Right. And so, but I'll tell you what, it was a great lesson, because I would never do it again. In fact, anybody that's gone through the 10X 360 or that's platformed with us or that works with our SBU team members, You guys know I've created a financial algorithm, how to think and look at the business so that you make great decisions, in which 3 indicators you need to most pay attention to in order to know that you've got a healthy business and you don't violate those 3 rules. You won't need to raise money. In fact, our expertise, our specialty is teaching business owners how to make money so they can grow their business without giving equity away.